So I kind of like the way this illustration is looking right now. I know that I chose a dark brown for the to replace the black, but I really like the way this looks. So maybe I want to leave it like this. Maybe I don't even want to replace the black with a darker brown or a darker color. Maybe this is a version that I want to create. Maybe I can create a version like this, and then I can work on a different version where I turn this brown. So this is not a requirement, but I think I'm going to do it that way. What I'm going to do right now, well, I already saved this. I'm going to save it again. We'll call this hue.eps. So I'm going to hit save. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a copy of this layer, of the black layer. And I am going to, let me rename this. Let me name this black. And let me just name this one, leave it at hue number 5. Let me hide my black. I'm going to leave it locked. I'm going to hide that black. And then for my hue number 5, I'm going to unlock that, and I am going to change my black to this dark brown color. So let's select that, drag it over, and let's see, is there anything that I missed? And I can see that I've got some things that I made as separate objects that I need to grab. One thing I can do, I mean, here's the easy way, is just to click and drag over the whole thing. And let's do it that way. Just make sure everything's brown. Everything that was black is now brown. I think I got all of it. So that's something with this, is just make sure that you did convert all of your grayscale objects to the appropriate hue. So for me, all of my 100% black is being converted to this dark brown color. So again, I like the way this looks, but I'm going to, I think I want to just, my reddish colors in here I think are looking a little bit intense, and I want to mute that a little bit or make it a little bit less bright. So I'm going to go back into my swatches. I'm going to make an adjustment to these. Let's just make sure that we have everything here locked for the moment. Let me work on my 70% first. Maybe I'll make that a little darker. I'll add some black to it. Let's try like 20% black and see how that does. Let's try that. So that's sort of what I would call it. If you add black to something, it makes it more of a shade. I would call it muted if your color is a little too bright. Let's do that. And then let me go ahead and unlock my 70% layer. Select everything on that layer. Let's just color this. Okay, I'm liking that. So it's not quite as bright as it was. It darkened it down a little bit. So maybe that looks good. Maybe I could leave it like that. But let me see if I can do something similar to my 50%. Let's add a little bit of black to that. Make it, I'm going to say we're going to mute it, tone it down. That's the kind of terms that I would use for this. Let's unlock everything on that 50% layer, or unlock the 50% layer, and then select everything on that, and then click on the swatch again. All right, so it's getting, I would say this is more of a muted kind of a look. Maybe that's too dark. Maybe 5%. Let's try it again. Okay. One thing I want to make sure is I have enough of a difference in hue between two that are next to each other so that it's easy to tell them apart. They shouldn't be so close that it starts flattening out, so that it starts to look like it's hard to tell the difference. All right, let's try 30%. I'll add a little bit of black to that just to tone it down. Just 5%. Let's see how that works. Let me lock my 50% layer, unlock my 30% layer, select everything, and okay. It's looking maybe a little more like a real skin tone kind of a color, a little less orange maybe. And for my 5%, let's do the same thing. I'll add 5% to that. So this is something that you can experiment with. Experiment with these colors. Experiment with how you think that this should look. What looks right to you? What looks pleasing to you? You do not have to do exactly what I'm doing, but I think that this is a good way to go about it if you're experimenting with these different hues. So I kind of like that. I think it looks pretty good. There's a few things. So again, on this details layer, we need to pick up some of that stuff. So on the details layer, it looks like I only have my 70% on that. So I unlock it, select everything, go to my 70%, lock it, and I think I've got it. So I'm liking the way that looks. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a save as. So I have two versions here. Again, you don't have to have two versions. You could just have one, but feel free to make two versions with different variations of the hues if you'd like. I'll just call this 2. Let me open up my earlier one so we can compare the two. All right, so these look quite different, I would say. They just have a different mood to them. This one's darker, more muted. This one's brighter, kind of more dramatic with the black and the brighter hues in there. So it's really about the kind of look that you're going for, or try a couple different versions if that's what you want to do. But this is the way that I would recommend going about this Milestone 2.